What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye and Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through this NBA slate. We did just get news that Jordan Poole is out tonight officially, and I just want to see if anything changes with that projection on Washington. I had him as questionable, and I think it's going to affect some things. So waiting for the Sims to update on that one, and I'm sorry for the projections to update on that one. That was really a big piece of news from this morning that I think is different. Anything that you noticed that caught your eye that was a little different?
No, I still have Jalen Green as questionable.
Yeah, he's officially a game time decision.
Okay. Still have Lauri Markkanen questionable.
Yeah.
Let me just see. These are just the guys that I have in my pool here. Oh, we have a Derek White questionable.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that one, to be honest. I guess it just affirms like Holiday at this price or something, but I'm not sure that it's like a massive bump for everyone else. Maybe you could talk yourself into some Pritchard or Jaylen Brown. But I think that the Markkanen one is big because even as much as I hate playing these Utah guys and they just play a million guys, they're already looking like really good. They're already projecting really well, and it's going to be weird to see what happens if we don't have Markkanen or Sensabaugh, who also is one of the best projected plays on the slate. So, and that's a later game, obviously. So it's a little bit tricky, this slate, in terms of trying to figure that out because there's going to be some stuff that looks good in the first games. Anyway, all right. So I guess we could go into like just sort of what kind of things we're getting. I try to force in a few different plays. I mentioned the thing about Austin Reeves earlier. I really like that play against Dallas that is not getting a ton of ownership. I'm getting all kinds of PJ Washington, who I do like, and it's not projected to be that high owned. And I think that there's a little bit of an argument for a mini game stack there. Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, Derek Lively all look really good, and then you've got Austin Reeves, who I like on the other side. And if you wanted to force in some Christie or LeBron or AD, I think those are all very reasonable plays. So that's a 7:30 game. So hopefully we have that later in the day. What are you getting to, Sheets, heavily today?
Well, a couple of things are interesting. I mean, again, we have to wait till all this news comes in. But like right now, what's interesting is that my top 2 points per dollar plays, well, the top three I have as Najee Marshall, Derek Lively, and Naz Reid. Usually I get like a decent amount of all the top plays there. Specifically, you'll see Najee Marshall and Naz Reid both have multi-position eligibility, so I would imagine I would get in a lot of them. But actually, like Marshall, I'm not getting as much as I thought I would. I'm getting like 32%. I was expecting to get more. Lively, I am getting, full 44%. And then Naz Reid, I'd be getting like about 30, which is, a little bit more than market weight, I guess. What I'm still getting is a whole bunch of the two, like the higher price guys, like Sexton and Amin Thompson. So I'm getting like a ton of those guys. And the two guys, well, Three guys I'm getting a lot of, which are interesting. One is obviously very speculative and can change everything. I'm currently getting like 42% of Markkanen, which is obviously very interesting considering he's very questionable. And that'll obviously change. I'll get to the weirdest guy I'm getting a bunch of in a second, but I am getting like 40% Andrew Wiggins. Is it Andrew Wiggins? The Warriors? I forget which one.
Yep.
42% Andrew Wiggins. But check this out. I'm getting like 47% of all things of Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense to you. All right. Because I wasn't really seeing it as such a great point per dollar player or anything like that. And I figured there'd be just better center options. But for whatever reason, he's like showing up. And I don't really see him as – I mean, I have an 11% projected ownership. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. But again, I'm very suspicious because if I'm getting a bunch, why shouldn't other people, I suppose? But yeah, I'm using different projections than most people, I guess.
Right.
Do you like the Kessler play? I mean, or
I think it's fine. I do always worry again. It's just my Utah thing that sometimes they'll just play Filipowski instead. So that's I guess the concern. But the matchup is so good, and it feels like a reason. Like it feels like a a safe bet to get 5x or so. I just happen to like other centers a little bit better, so I only have him probably a little bit less. I have like 8% of him, I think, in 30 lineups that I'm playing, 31 lineups that I'm playing. I guess it is.
What news is for the first games? Anything?
The Jordan Poole thing is the big one, and Jalen Green is the other big one. So hopefully we'll have that news.
Jordan Poole is officially out, though. You said, right?
Jordan Poole, but the projections haven't updated yet.
The projections haven't updated yet. Okay.
Yeah. And I really liked it. So it's interesting, Kessler versus part of the reason I think I'm getting less of him is I did force in the Mark Williams instead.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
Yeah, and they're similar price. And I just want to be ahead on this Williams thing in general. I really like this guy as a player, and he's finally getting the minutes back. And I feel like he's a similar-ish play to Kessler, but maybe a little bit more upside. And like I mentioned, he's just barely missed the double doubles the last 2 games. He had 9 rebounds in each of the last 2 games. Otherwise, I think his projection would even be better. And his minutes projection, I think there's room for upside on his minutes projection. So that's the one I'm getting to quite a bit of.
What do you think? Who's going to be upgraded with Poole out? You think?
I think Kuzma. I think that because we did get news that Carrington is officially in. And it looks like Kuzma's projection is starting to jump quite a bit. Jared Butler at 3K might end up projecting well. I have mixed feelings on that one because I want to see, he put up 31 in the last game. I think that, he only played 20 minutes. It feels like, I guess it feels a little chasey, but I don't know. I feel a little funny about it. But he is 3K flat, and that's going to look good. And I think Carrington would be the other one who's going to get the boost, in my opinion. And I think you're going to see the ownership start to reflect that Kuzma is going to all of a sudden look like one of the best players on the slate.
And wait, what are we going to project at 35 or something?
I think it'll be somewhere around there. Saberson's got him at 34.5 right now, and I don't think they're finished quite updating, but they've got a 5.7x on Jared Butler at 3K. I don't mind it. I just don't want to go. I don't know if I want to go crazy with it. I have a little bit of a tough time with that one. I think I like the Carrington idea a little bit better, but if you do need the savings, that is a 3K play.
Well, if you play Butler, then you're probably going to play Jokic, I think.
If you play, but yeah, I think so. That's what I would like to do. I would very much like to play the Jokic tonight. Look, it's a big game. Boston is really good against the center position, but it doesn't really matter when it comes to Jokic, to be honest with you. And I think they're going to run everything through him. Boston will probably do the thing where they double quite a bit, but that just means 15 or 20 assists. And he's just so much bigger than everybody else and stronger. I think he's going to be able to get 15 plus boards tonight. So I like the idea of trying to get out of your way to get to Jokic if possible. Guys, if you have any questions or thoughts, please drop them in the chat, and we'll get to anything that you guys want.
Did you mention do you like Koulibaly today? Is he going to look good too?
So I think he's okay, but I just didn't get to him right now, like just yet. I think that the price is just a little bit. It's 6,400, and we've had some of these guys out, and he certainly has upside to get there, but the price is sort of keeping me off a little bit of Koulibaly, and he's got plenty of upside. So I love the guy as a player. I think he's actually Washington's in real life best player, in my opinion.
Who did you say was in? Carrington was in?
Carrington's in, and Koulibaly's in as well. So those are the 2 questionables. And hopefully we'll get the Jalen Green news during warmups, because that's another big piece. And if he's out, that game becomes very stackable. The only thing you worry about is that Washington is the worst team in the NBA and can't keep anything close. So Houston's a really good team.
That's an important point. I mean,
yeah, and at least they're at home, I guess you'd say, and they haven't had Kuzma some of this year. But like, it's a dangerous, but it's just hard to Jalen Green being out, like with Tari Eason and Jabari Smith are already out. I'm getting to all kinds of. I set my core plays, but I'm getting to all kinds of Amen Thompson anyway, and I think his projection would be kind of wild if Jalen Green is out. I think he's going to look like incredible even at 6,600. And for what it's worth, I'll be overweight the field as of right now on him. And he's great. He does everything. He rebounds the hell out of the ball, and if he has a decent enough shooting night, he's going to put up 40 plus anyway. So even without a decent shooting night, to be honest with you.
Maybe
Go ahead.
Maybe I'm wrong, by the way, with respect to the Colin Sexton ownership. Maybe he will be like 40-50% owned after all that. I don't know.
Yeah, I specifically went out of my way not to try to play as much Colin Sexton. Just I've seen this so many times.
Tell people a little more about this Utah thing.
They just play a million guys. Every time Colin Sexton's projected to play a ton of minutes, he ends up playing the 26 to 30. He doesn't really get above that 30-minute mark almost ever. Now, it's a great matchup and the usage should be there, but like I'm looking at the minutes projection on him. Let me just double check. Yeah, they've got him only at 30 minutes. I just feel like they rotate guys, and it almost doesn't matter who's out for them. It usually seems like the rotation. So I worry about the minutes, but I guess if we're projecting at 29 minutes and still he's got a good projection, 35 seems reasonable. And I also I wanted to get a little bit off the chalk. Like you just mentioned, I think he's going to be more popular than people think, and I would take some shots with guys like Johnny Zhuzhang if you want to be a little frisky. But I mean, right now I've got 12 guys projected to play for Utah, even with these injuries. So look, if Markkanen's out, forget everything I said and go ahead and just play him. I mean, there is no Clarkson, there's no Keontae George. I just didn't want to play what I thought was going to be like a 50% owned guy, Sexton play, who again might only play 30 minutes as he usually tends to. But it certainly makes sense on its face. Like, I mean, if you're playing a cash game, I could totally understand that. I just didn't want to go there at such high ownership. And I'm not getting to none of them. I've got 20% of them. I just think it's going to be below the field. And I'm curious what you ended up with any of these other Golden State guys, because I didn't get to any Wiggins, and I didn't X them out or anything. It's just I got to none of them in my builds, and I feel totally fine not having any Wiggins. I like the Moses Moody to get a little creative instead of Buddy Hield, but I'm curious what you got with the Golden State guys.
Wait, why? Something's happening with my. I got to deal with this. Sorry.
No problem.
Like I was saying, I was getting. As I said, why can't I save this location? This is weird. I gotta deal with this.
All right, do your thing. Yeah, if you want, I can just take over if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one I wanted to mention, I think Schroeder is an interesting play, and I actually feel like he's got a wide range of outcomes with this Golden State team in general. But 5,300, I think there's plenty of upside for him to go there. I actually like the Schroeder and the Terry Rozier play quite a bit from that game. So even though if we get news that Jalen Green is in, maybe I'll lower my exposure in these early games because I really would like to play some of that Golden State Miami game. And I also think that it's, what we'd like the Markkanen news, and that would allow me to have that freedom to do that. So that's sort of where I'm at. But I'm going to rerun things in a little bit once it looks like Washington is probably close to fully updated. Let me just double check it real quick. Okay. Yeah. Butler, Carrington, and Kuzma, but nobody looking like a must except for maybe Kuzma. I guess you'd play. Yeah, I mean, Kuzma would definitely be a guy you'd play in cash games. And for what it's worth, I like Kuzma better than I like Sexton, and they're the same price. I know it's a different position, but I would rather play Kuzma than Sexton personally. Even though it's not like a dream matchup against Houston, it's just you take all those guys off. You take Jordan Poole out of there, and I mean they've got and no Brogdon as well. He's been out. But I like that quite a bit.
What about those values I talked about, like Lively and Marshall?
Yeah, I'm ahead of the field on all those guys. And PJ Washington's my highest owned player right now, and he's the one who's got the lower projection a little bit. But I don't know if it's going to end up that way because I think this Kuzma news is going to kind of throw it for a loop. But Kuzma is at the same position and a cheaper price and is going to project with basically the same number. But it just feels right to try to do something with Dallas with no Kyrie, no Luka. And another one I'm forcing in is the Jaden Hardy a little bit, just as a very long shot-ish play. I don't love his price, but if you're playing...
What is he, 45 or something?
44, yeah. But we've seen him just at times just completely go off and shoot himself into a game. And we've also seen him put up like 5 fantasy points in 25 minutes. So it's definitely got some wide range of outcomes there.
Yeah, I was wondering why those projections. I didn't realize that that Kyrie was out as well.
Yeah, and let's see. Let me say this: apply.
So who's like the starting point guards there then? I mean,
for Dallas.
yeah.
So my guess is they'll do what they did. They'll play Dinwiddie, but Dinwiddie's 6,600, and no, they won't play Dinwiddie. Actually, they've been bringing him off the bench. They've actually been playing like. I don't know. Like the current projected lineup is basically has Najee Marshall as the point guard.
Well, no wonder he's getting all this popularity. I mean,
yeah, and I would just keep an eye out for that starting lineup because I do think that there's got to be there definitely is a way that they could go a different route. But Marshall played great in the last game, and at this price, it's kind of hard to ignore that play, even if Marshall doesn't start. In fact, I kind of prefer it if he doesn't start because I think he's going to at least lower his ownership a little bit. But, man, this is a very ugly lineup for Dallas that they're projecting.
Has Hardy been getting minutes at all?
Yeah, he's been getting like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And, he was 20 minutes in his last 4 games, each of the last 4.
And has Kyrie been out for all those?
Kyrie, I believe, was out for all of them. And there was, I think, one that maybe Kyrie was not out for. I think he was. I'm not sure, actually. I'll double check it. And it's more. It's a speculative play. I get it. I just think that taking a little bit of a gamble on some other value is a reasonable route to go because I was getting a lot of chalk. It's interesting over on FanDuel. I have a much more chalky builds than I thought I was going to. I'm just getting all the Trae Young for whatever reason on FanDuel more than DraftKings, and I really don't mind it. But I also don't like. I'm not going to go and max. I'm not trying to get to it. It's just ending up there. Over there, also you've got. I think Sexton. Again, 6,200 versus 6K, but again, you have more salary on FanDuel and another position. So I think he makes more sense on FanDuel to me than he does on DK. Markkanen, if he does play, will be another one you get to quite a bit of. Okongwu's something's fishy a little bit to me about because just we have this play all the time. Okay, we talked about Capella, but the Okongwu and Capella thing is basically like it's not like somebody. It's not like they necessarily are going to play together, and they don't usually. So it feels a little fishy, maybe that I'm getting this so much of it.
Right.
Just a little bit, but I mean, look, I like Okongwu. It's a good matchup. He should be able to get there. It's just maybe not have him in like 75% of my lineups. And on FanDuel, I think he's going to be really popular. I think he's going to be like 35, 40% at least. Yeah, and an interesting pivot on DraftKings is to play Capella, who's not going to get much ownership. So, but again, you just have the minutes pretty much capped with Capella in general. Status DeJounte Murray is a game time decision, and Zion will have a minutes limit, which we expected. I still don't like anything from the New Orleans side at the moment, and yeah, if I ended up with one DeJounte Murray lineup, I wouldn't have an issue with it. CJ McCollum scored 50 real life points. What did he have? Like 65 fantasy. He didn't have like, what I mean? He needed all that scoring to really get there in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's okay, but I with Zion coming back, even with Trey Murphy out, I just didn't get too much over on that side personally. Don't mind Herb Jones on FanDuel, but not trying to get to it either. Let's rebuild and see what we're getting here. And I did do my min-max things more on DraftKings. I'm sort of letting a little bit more SaberSim take over for me on FanDuel and just making very few tweaks of what I like. And that's when I've done that, I've been doing much better. So I'm going to go with that. Hey, Brendan, good to see you. Yeah, the Lions looked great. I joked at the halftime of that game, and I was in the Discord, and I was talking about how as a Rams fan, I was like, I'm not afraid of either of these teams. They don't look like they look terrible in the first half, both teams offensively. But I think the Rams are going to beat the Vikings, and I'm excited about this.
The line's a little light, though. I don't know.
What's that?
I think the line might be a little light.
It's 2.5 for Minnesota. I
Yeah.
actually thought the Rams could be favored. I really do. I mean, people don't realize that this is not the same Rams team as all season. When they've had Puka and Cup both healthy, they're 9-2. You know,
Right.
so. And by the way, the backups nearly won the game the other day. Really shocking decision to do that. I think McVay is probably the only coach in football who would have rested guys there when they just easily would have had the 3 seed or whatever and got to play Washington instead. But hey, I think that the Rams are not afraid of anybody, and this year feels a lot like the 2021 year where they won the Super Bowl. To me, I really think the Rams are going to make a run. I like this team a lot. I mean, they're a little weaker. Obviously, not having Aaron Donald is a problem, but their defense has been awesome in general. And
yeah, but they haven't had him the whole year, right?
Yeah, no, but I mean that was the difference between they had the best defensive player in football in 21, and now they have all these rookies who are awesome, but they're rookies. Yeah, Lions Rams. So it would be hard to be Lions Rams championship game because that means that the Eagles would have to lose to Washington. I'm sorry, the Eagles would have to lose to who would the Eagles have to lose? Green Bay. Yeah. So it would be interesting. I thought I said Lions Rams before the year, so I hope that
that spread. You know, I was about to say that the Eagles spread seems a little light too, against Green Bay. But yeah. Green Bay like always gets a lot of support at the window, so to speak. Like they're in the Vegas community. They're very, very sneaky. Like you don't remember this. Like when they were playing at Detroit, when Detroit was on a 100-game winning streak,
yeah,
like they were only a 3-point underdog.
Right, that's right.
You know, and then they went into Minnesota like a couple of weeks ago, or whatever, and they were like a 2-point underdog somehow.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean, for whatever reason, like Vegas really likes them as a team.
Yeah.
And so what's the spread? I forget what it is, but I think the Eagles spread is pretty light.
Yeah, I'll double check it because there's another my terrible take, and look, this is going to be. I think this game could end up like 40-0, and I could be wrong that big, but I think the Broncos are the kind of team that could beat the Bills. They're really good at rushing the passer and great at keeping the quarterback in the pocket, and I just think that's a spot where I could see the weird Bills loss. Look, I've said it all year long, and I'm not going to back down now that I think that the Bills are somewhat fraudulent. They've only beaten they've won 2 games against winning teams. Now they were the 2 best teams that they had winning records, but I think they're a little bit.
Are the Ravens going to have Zay Flowers?
I don't think so, and that's a real shame.
That's tough.
Yeah, but I think that it's pretty wild. That spread is up to 10. It's been jumping way up and up and up.
Pittsburgh stopped beating them.
But Pittsburgh historically has owned them, which is the one downfall. But I agree with you that Pittsburgh's not going to beat them.
They're just not beating them.
I agree. I think the Ravens are in very, very good shape, and I actually think the Ravens will. I mean, I don't think I love the Ravens against the Bills if the Bills do advance. So that's where I'm going to go.
But Houston plays the Chargers.
Houston, plays the Chargers, and that's the weird road favorite. Historically, the rule with the Chargers, you never bet them in the playoffs just because they always have the weird, including that 28-0 game they blew against Jacksonville a couple years ago. But Harbaugh's a little bit different now, and Houston does not. I mean, they just do not look like a good football team at all to me. But I still feel like
right thing playing their guys to get the offense going the other day.
I agree with you. They needed it. They needed that. That was my favorite bet of the. I said that on the show. I said this is a great bet. Houston needs to show up against Tennessee. And for some reason, Houston was 3-point underdogs in that game, and Tennessee was playing for the number 1 pick. If the other game went their way, if the Patriots won, so it was kind of wild. I was curious what your take would be. I thought it was so beyond stupid what the Patriots did. I really can't understand why. Like they literally just cost themselves probably two second rounders and and whatever because they could have just traded back. And if you're going to fire the coach an hour after the game anyway, why are you letting them go out there and try to win the game? The Bills let them have it too.
I think that there's less. How do I put this? I think there's less absolute directive from GMs to coaches in those situations than people think. I don't know.
I agree with you. I would fire the coach before the game so you could have somebody in, you know what I mean? Put somebody in there who's going to make sure that you find. I mean, honestly, the Bills kind of made sure they lost the game because that would, set the Patriots back a little bit, and they're in the same division, obviously. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I didn't really think too. I mean, for me, I mean, like if you're gonna let teams tank, let them tank. If not, you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
that's why I was. I mean, I remember we talked about. You posted this stuff like maybe having a draft lottery or whatever it is. Just something to disincentivize that situation to happen.
Yeah.
In some way. Listen. I don't know the answer, but uh, like when the Falcons, for example, they were playing to win. Okay.
Mhm.
But then once they saw maybe on the other screen Tampa win,
Mhm.
Tampa, Atlanta, like we're supposed to like outright lose.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like if you're going to play this as an organization, you'll legitimately just tell the team to like because they went to overtime, right? Just tell the team to run into the end zone, take the safety, and lose,
Right.
or whatever. But that just I guess that like maybe gambling has something to do with it. Just violate the spirit of competition or something like that. I don't
Yeah, in
know.
football you only get so many games, and they're playing at home, so you kind of want to try. Like,
Yeah, but the home fans would understand. I think if they wanted
I think you're right.
to, to get the pick.
Yeah, it's weird though because like when the Giants won a couple weeks back, I actually was for that. Like instead of tanking for the lottery, even though, and also I don't think this draft is like. It's not like the quarterbacks are sure things. I don't feel like it's that kind of a thing. But I think the draft lottery just makes so much sense. And also, you should. I'd like to see something somehow being incentivized. Like, why can't we? And yeah, maybe it keeps teams bad for a while. But how about the teams that just make the play, just barely miss the playoffs, get a better pick? Like, I don't know. I've always sort of had that attitude, but I guess it keeps the teams at the bottom a little bit too much. But that's what I would.
All right, just to show you guys. Let me just read one more thing about the freaking Phoenix thing. Hold on. KD, new lineup. Has there been a new lineup for Phoenix recently?
Not that I've been aware of. I don't feel they're pretty. Well, they have Plumlee starting now. I guess that's the change.
Yeah, instead of Nurkic, right?
Yeah. Plumlee is not the worst play in the world, by the way. It's just the minutes you don't really know what they're going to get. Like it's a high variance, but certainly enough upside at 4,700. I just think there's too many good centers, probably though. Oh, and they started Ryan Dunn now lately. Ryan Dunn is, I like Ryan Dunn. I like this guy. I love guys who don't need the ball and just are good basketball players.
No, but someone was making a point that maybe like when you set the lineup like that, it's like maybe just Booker and Durant just gets more usage even.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is that bringing the Beal off the bench that they've been doing.
Even more to the point,
Yeah, exactly. But it's strange because they're actively trying to trade Bradley Beal. Every NBA analyst is saying this.
Who wants Bradley Beal nowadays?
I like Bradley Beal as a fill-in player. I just don't want that contract. The contract is insane.
Oh, really? He's got a bad contract.
$50 million a year.
So as you guys remember from from earlier when I built all these lineups and whatever, here's the payoff. Now I could just go ahead and all the contest sims have been preloaded. I could just put the new projections up and just run everything and take me 15, not 15 seconds, barring anything else, like 45 seconds. So I'll show you the different ways I'm constructing this. Again, I'm trying to talk myself into this Phoenix thing, like the Booker or the Durant.
I have Durant in my highest buy-in on FanDuel for what it's worth.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So I really don't mind that idea. It's a good matchup, but I didn't get to him on DraftKings for whatever reason.
I'm sure I'm not going to get to much of him either.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all this Carrington, huh?
Yeah, I like the Carrington with I think that makes some sense, and I think other sites more than SaberSim are projecting Carrington a little bit better.
Okay.
From what I could tell. But I like the Carrington a lot. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. He's going to play 1 million minutes. That's why I'm a little nervous about like where Jared Butler fits into this, and he's 3K and showing up. Is he showing up for you sheets?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not in my actual lineup builds.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious about that one. And yeah, we obviously need starting lineups before we, finalize
the process. I mean, I just go like you see all you guys saw before, like this median destination ROI. I just keep going min uniques until I get a big drop. Right, that was a pretty big drop from 182 to 164. And this is even bigger to one. So let's get a little tighter. We'll go to min uniques 3, and then we'll just go ahead and go to autofill, and then make sure that the highest buy-in is at the top of this, and then just and then let's unclick this, and then we'll just save to contests, and then just saved, and then it's just done. That's it.
Jalen Green is in, by the way.
Okay.
I think a little less interest there than I did before.
I mean, to show you guys, not that I really care, but to show you guys the exposure I have. Like for now, look at all these questionable guys I have in. Oh, look, I got a bunch of Jokic. It looks like. Like right now, based on what I did, I'm getting like almost all Colin Sexton, which violates your Utah rule. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll change my mind a little bit later.
Well, look, it's not that it's a bad play. I've just seen it so many times this year, and he still probably gets there. It's just for me, it's something that I've been trying to avoid. And again, it's Atlanta. It's hard to argue against Atlanta, who gives up 1 million points. Yeah, I don't know.
But I think I'm gonna do just for funsies. I'm gonna go back, and again, I don't usually do this, right? So I'm gonna give myself a minimum of 15% of both Durant and Booker.
I think that makes sense.
Just something to do.
Okay, this Jokic thing is getting very annoying because he was listed as probable with an illness. Now he's listed as questionable with an illness.
Oh.
So I guess that means that it just again trying to delay because that game starts at 10.
And then you put him in the utility with. You have him with. Did you get any Buddy Hield after all that?
I have somebody healed more than I wanted. I actually lowered. I capped his exposure because I wanted to get it take some shots with Moody, but I've got like 20% of him right now.
So you know what? I'm feeling a little saucy. Who is the other guy you forced in some Austin Reeves?
I like the Austin Reeves play.
All right, so let's do a little of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm into a little bit, and I've got.
I think I have none of him right now, so let's sort by projection here so I can find where is he even? There's Austin Reeves, just for the minutes play, right? Basically, it's the usage and the minutes without D'Lo there has been terrific. Oh, I'm sorry, I already have 20% of him. Okay, yeah, so I don't need that. And let me put in some of the Mark Williams if I don't have 15% of him. So I'm getting only 9 of him. I'll leave the 9. That's fine. Yeah. So Kyron George is starting. Okay, let me see what that. For who? Instead of Champagny, he's starting for Washington. So Kyron George is probably going to look like a pretty good value play. Now, he's not the most productive per minute guy in the world at all. He played 26 minutes in the last game, had 7 fantasy points. You certainly don't have to do it, but just is Carrington still? I mean, does that affect? Yeah, Carrington, Koulibaly, George, Kuzma, Sarr. Yeah. Okay. By the way, Sarr's been pretty. George will be 3,600. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. It's the low he's gonna show up. I know it, but I feel weird about it, to be honest with you. He's 3,600 in starting, so I guess it can't be that bad. But we're talking about a guy who played 26 minutes, had 7. I mean, when's the last time he played 34 minutes, got 24 fantasy points in that particular game? But other than that, I mean, you're talking about like 12%, 13% usage. Maybe it goes up a little bit. And he's just a young guy. There's always going to be just high variance with guys like that. Derek White is out. Thank you for that, Brendan. I just noticed that as well. I don't know. Is he a starter? Derek White, yes. So what do you get in there instead, like Hauser or whatever, or somebody like that, or? It's an interesting question because he doesn't usually miss. So I'm gonna guess that they go to. I don't know. Actually, it could be Hauser. It could be. They could start Pritchard, which they don't usually do, but maybe they want to keep him in his role. So Hauser.
They could go, with Horford. They've done that a couple times when Holiday was out, but I don't know. That's an interesting question.
You know who I'm getting none of right now is Mr. Jokic.
Yeah, this is the weird one because I just took I wanted a minimum of 25% of them to start before, and now I'm just gonna let it ride with whatever I get of him because you got things to swap to, but it's sort of a funky build. Like if you do it, I tried messing around with some hand builds, and it just gets a little weird. Hopefully they say something about it. And I'm trying to look and see if I can read the tea leaves with the Vegas line, but they're 6-point underdogs at home to Boston, which feels appropriate. I think if Jokic is out, they're probably 9 or 10, maybe.
Just so you know, tomorrow I'm going to be out for the 12 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm very questionable for the 6.
Okay, cool. I got it. Let's see what this is. Okay. Yeah, and I am. Let's see. I'm going to take a quick look and see if anything's updated with. I still don't think the Derek White thing is going to be earth-shattering for me personally.
No.
I think Drew Holiday is going to look like a better play, and whoever if they start Pritchard, that would be interesting.
But if they eventually, an hour before game time after these other games have locked, I rule out Jokic, for example.
Yeah, then and I could just say if the Jokic gets ruled out, I don't even know that like.
What can you even do? Just put in Tatum? I mean,
I think Peyton Watson, and I think that Russell Westbrook.
No, but I mean, where if you have Jokic in your lineups?
Right. If you have Jokic in your lineup, I think you'd spread it out with spending up maybe a little too much, like spending it way up for Tyler Hero, Steph Curry. Steph Curry, I just saw make 105 threes in a row in 5 minutes. I don't even know how he got up 105 shots. That's incredible. He made 105 in a row in practice in 5 minutes.
I mean,
that's crazy.
The video of it and everything.
Yeah, there was a video of it. I didn't watch the video because I felt like I know what I was going to be seeing, but that's pretty wild. All right. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to throw them out there. I do think that you could argue that everybody on Boston gets a small boost, and one of them probably has a big game. I think Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday would be my favorites. Tatum, I don't mind either. Yeah, so there's a little stuff you could do with the Joker stuff. Well, he's not the guy who usually sits in the big games, though, and it depends on really how sick he's feeling.
He's not sitting. There's just no way.
But you're
telling me the one time Boston comes to town,
right,
and people pay infinite for those tickets,
right?
He's going to sit,
right? And obviously these are the teams that won the last 2 titles as well. So,
meanwhile, speaking of that, for Hanukkah, we got I'm bringing Matt to a game. We haven't been to a Knicks game in a while. We're actually seeing Denver when they come to town.
Oh, nice.
So he better be healthy for that game too.
Seriously. By far my favorite guy to watch. Those Wemby games, if anybody wants to watch old basketball, if you really like basketball, that was really fun to watch. Wemby and Jokic play each other back-to-back games. And they both went off, as you'd expect. But
Jokic had 80 or something in there.
Jokic had 80 in each game, but he took more shots than he's ever taken because they single covered him more than ever. But the efficiency wasn't there. He was 15 for 36 in one game, and I don't remember ever seeing Jokic shoot 40% from the floor.
Right.
It's so crazy to me. I was listening to an argument about Jokic not being the best player in the NBA the other day, and I don't know what people are thinking.
Who's better?
I don't even know. They were arguing for Giannis, and then there are people arguing for Shea, who's been incredible. But Jokic literally, he's in the top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists, and he leads the league in 3-point shooting. What do you want from this guy? And his defenses, by the way, has gotten much, much better. So, I think Jokic is. I agree with Brendan here. I think Jokic has become a very good tournament play tonight. If you want to go that route, and I just wouldn't have him as my only guy in late games. I'd want to be able to do some make sure you have at least 2 guys in those lineups from those later games. Probably even at least 3, actually, to be honest. It's just that midday downgrade is always a little nerve-wracking for me. All right.
Why would they do that? I mean, it's
But they announced him probable an hour before with an illness, and then they announced him questionable an hour later. Like, it's just strange.
But I'm really curious, like, maybe I'll see if my brother one day, like, see how that actually like goes down. Like and who asks him? Like the coach says, like, how you feeling? I mean, is that really what it is?
Right. I don't know how that works.
And what the coach tells who, the PR guy or something? Is there like a guy who reports it? I'm wondering the mechanics of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting question. You could probably find out more insight than I could.
I could find out.
Yeah. All right. So should we wrap it up? I'm gonna finish my build. I want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish putting my NHL lineups in, and then for those of you who didn't see, I did the first UFC video of the week. I'll do a couple more before it's over, and watch. We got the Australian Open starting soon in tennis.
Yep.
You got LOL starting next week. Actually, the winter split. You have golf. I'm pretty busy this week. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, Bobby. But we'll try to get a golf thing up maybe. I'm coming out of retirement for our first backgammon tournament in like 15 years.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love it.
It'll become completely dead money, but we'll see. One thing I do very well is I run really, really good. So
I love that you're the only person I think who plays backgammon and poker and all that who actually says they run good. So
like Jesus.
Yeah.
Like Usain Bolt, actually.
Yeah, but
Jesus didn't run so good.
I always fancied myself a decent backgammon player until I started playing guys who played backgammon regularly.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
And I just had no hope whatsoever. I was totally dead.
Yeah.
Really, really stupid. All right, man. Well, have a good night, everybody. Good luck. I'll be in the Discord. I'll update my ownership in there. For what it's worth, Sheets, I was going to tell you about this just real quick. I'm going to start doing Adam and I talked about doing a series of like him doing like a show with him, but him like training me how to do like what he does in NHL, in League of Legends. I think that'd be really cool.
God bless you.
I'm just going to be, dabbling again. I want to write a letter to DraftKings and see if they'll let me play the minimum stakes, so I can not have to.
Yes, since you've never played that freaking sport before, right?
It's crazy to me that it's not done by sport. All right, buddy. Good luck. And